Watch the ride.
Welcome to the Spice 110 Motorcycle Review Marathon Series. When I review a bike for an extended amount of time, I make several videos. What I'm doing in this series is taking all those videos and putting them back to back so you can watch them in one sitting. If you enjoy the video, hit the like button, subscribe if you are new here, and if you want to help support this channel, please consider supporting me on Patreon, links in the description. Also, if you'd like to see some reviews that don't have multiple videos, just one, check out my Motorcycle Reviews playlist. Enjoy! Hi everybody, so as I mentioned this year I'm going to bring you some awesome videos, and one of the ways I'm doing that is I'm working with Destination Triumph. This is the Solent store just up the road from where I live, and basically I'm going to be taking out reviewing lots of Triumphs, but the wonderful thing is I'm actually getting them for a few days. I'm going to have this one for 5 days. This is the new RS Street Triple, and I'm actually kind of excited about this because I've wanted to ride one of it. We'll get onto that when we're on the road, but yeah, I just want to say Destination Triumph, thank you for working with me. It's absolutely amazing. You've got a lot of fun toys around here that I want to play with. The RS is coming first. I don't know what bike 2 will be, but it's between the Tiger 900 and the Rocket. I kind of want to ride that Rocket. But anyway, this is kind of, well, it's the first ride of the new RS. You may have also noticed the weather is amazing. I mean, like, truly amazing. I am very, very lucky to do what I do. Huge thanks to my Patreon supporters who are allowing me to do this year. If you haven't watched the video talking about what I'm doing this year, basically I'm not doing the metalworks. For those who know what that is. Feisty! So this is my first ride. This is not my review. This is literally me just picking the bike up and, well, instantly it's pokey. In the past, I rode one of the old 675s for all of a few miles, and in those few miles, I just kind of fell in love with it a little bit. I didn't get to do much, but it was just the sound and the feel of the thing. And I basically just never got the opportunity to ride one again since. This has got a quick shifter, which works both up and down through the box, which is something I'm going to have to get slightly used to because I very rarely use bikes with them. And to be fair, when I have in the past, I think they've been add-ons and they have felt in ways a little bit jerky. It's particularly on the low speed downshift. One of the massive benefits of having these bikes for, 5 days opposed to a few hours is that you get to know them, you get to be more used to riding them more confidently. And also little things that you might not have noticed in the first few hours, you will notice over time, over the course of 5 days, and I think it makes much, much better reviews. As my regular viewers will know, the new ones may not, and if you are new, please consider hitting that subscribe button. I am 6'4", so I am a big chap when it comes to bikes. Nothing really is made for me unless it's big and adventurous. But this is actually about perfectly fine, but we'll find out more about comfort and stuff in time. Because for now, we have a national speed limit. Oh, it's so smooth! Hand off the clutch, I don't need it. The clutch is for pulling away and stopping, and that is it. The steering on this feels very, very strong to the dead ahead position. Gives it a good sporty feel, so the inputs you have to give are quite positive, but they're very, very smooth feeling. There are some particularly violent bumps along here, and it is quite telling for bikes actually. There's one particular one that stands out. Oh yeah, that one, that's the one. Yeah, okay, so the suspension is pretty firm. Oh, come on. I am barely getting this throttle open. I look forward to the slip road, that's all I'm saying. Other than that old Street Triple, a Triumph America 800, and a couple of Bonnevilles, I think that is all the Triumphs I've ever ridden.
Just never really had the opportunity to get them to review or to ride, and that's one of the reasons I'm very grateful to Destination Triumph for working with me. And it's amazing that they would swap a Yamaha XJ6 with 50,000 miles on it for an absolutely brand new Street Triple RS. So kind of them. Yeah, unfortunately I do have to take it back. This is the first ride, as I say. I don't give you all the facts, figures and details and everything. It's just sort of me riding it and seeing little bits and pieces that crop up. This has got an absolute ton of electronics and options and stuff. But one of the most simple things that I've really liked so far is, forget all that, is the fact that this screen tilts like up and down. And as a taller rider, that's just amazing, because it means that whereas the screens are normally, you know, aiming at my stomach, I can actually have them looking at my face. It's a very simple little thing that, but it's a very nice touch. You can change colours and all sorts of stuff on it, which is kind of cool, but at the same time, it's so low and out the way that you're not really that concerned about looking at the dials, and generally you do want to be looking ahead. Very smooth right down the bottom end. Why did I just let the throttle off? Don't need to do that, just click up. Yeah, the bottom end is very, very smooth. There's no, like, you don't feel any hesitation there. It just goes. It just goes. The brakes are extremely powerful. Very predictable feeling straight off the bat. Oh, it leans lovely. It doesn't feel dodgy. It just feels nice. Oh, I'm so glad I've got this for 5 days in sunny weather and not for, you know, 5 hours. Let's go. Holy That hadn't even got into its proper stride, and it just, oh crap, it just grips and goes. Oh, that's just kind of addictive amounts of power. This feels like it could be proper Larry Hooligan-y if you wanted it to be. I think it is a very nice looking bike. I really like the tail. I love the shape of the tank. Now, Triumph's headlight arrangement has always been something that I've been a bit with. Like, I think this is much better than some of the older models. It's still something you kind of have to get used to. Like, for me, from this angle, nice from nearly every angle, but when you can actually see sort of the neck, as it were, it's just something you have to kind of get used to, because I kind of just expect the light to be there and your dash, you know, to be up here. But there is a nice thing about having the dash that low down, that it's all out the way. The build quality is, well, it just looks lovely. Everything looks good. You know, there's no cheaper part, it seems. I mean, even like the pegs, they've got little emblems in them and stuff. They feel very nice. I'm going to do a little bit of grease, but yeah, every little bit that could have been a bit cheaper, they probably could have done it a bit cheaper, isn't, which is nice to see, but it's probably reflected in the price. Okay, well, let's forget all the speed and everything. Let's just see what this is like, you know, manoeuvrability wise. Okay, I've just got to get used to the way it feels. Okay, so yep, okay, so it's actually, you can use a little bit more clutch than I would imagine. The clutch is very, very smooth feeling, as is the throttle, of course. But then when this is full lock, oh, put my foot down, fail! But yeah, like intercity, getting through cars, filtering, that sort of stuff. This is not like a sports bike feel where, you know, you might be having problems getting the steering radius you need to get around that car. Okay, well, this is all very, very promising. Very, very promising indeed. This is the problem. I had to pick the bike up later in the day, and I'm about to hit rush hour, which means the roads are going to fill up and I'm not going to get to have so much fun. They also have an Audi about 8 feet behind me, which is of course where all Audis live. I don't feel like I've particularly stretched the legs of this bike, which is good because I want to get used to it before I start feeling like I'm stretching its legs. But also I like to ride them, you know, like you're going to use it on the road. Obviously each person's review of a bike is going to come from a different angle. Some people are all about absolute peak performance, and they won't really mind if it's not so good, you know, in the normal day-to-day commutery sort of things. But I like to try and just do an everyday man's review, someone who uses the bike sometimes to go to work, sometimes to have some fun. Maybe you'll take it on a track occasionally. You know, you go for a bit of a blat in the summer. If you can get a bike that can fill all those niches, it's doing very well. And I have to say, instantly, this feels like it's got more than enough power than you'll ever need, and it works low down. Those two things together are a big deal for me. Because yes, a motorcycle might be capable of cornering at 150 miles an hour at a 60-degree lean angle, but the reality is, a lot of the time you're riding at 30 miles an hour behind Abby's gifting of balloons. This is already doing better than my DR400 because it absolutely hates going less than 30 miles an hour. And this, I'm not even feathering the clutch at 10. If you're new here, I have a DRZ 400 SM and a Yamaha XJ6 tow version. Now, both of these bikes were bought for doing a job. Well, correction, the DRZ was for having fun, massive amounts of fun. It isn't the best bike on the motorway or anything like that, but in the country roads, 130 kilos, 40 odd brake horsepower, mine's a 440, is an absolute blast. Plus you can take it off the road. The XJ6 is just a workhorse bike to take some strain off of my DR. But if I forget the off-road bit, this has got everything that, like, okay, yeah, it's not quite as light as a supermoto, it's not got the same soft suspension so you can just fly over stuff and not care what you're riding over. That is one of the nice things about supermoto. But what I'm saying is, of all of the bikes that could be a contender as being, I could have one bike, the Street Triple could be it. Now with that is that I am a big guy and this isn't the biggest bike in the world, so realistically, would it be better for me to have an adventure bike like the Tiger? We'll find out as I get to reviewing that. Over here, off-roading the RS. Okay, well I'm going to end this video here because this is just the first ride, and I think you can already tell that I'm kind of raring to get out onto some nice roads and really experience what this bike is like. It feels like it's got a lot of potential to just be amazing there, but I haven't been able to experience it. But then equally, it's perfectly comfortable doing, you know, what we've just done. Sat in traffic, bit of fast stuff, bit of slow stuff, take the odd corner a bit quicker, but then when you can't, you can slowly go through traffic. It's like, it's hitting all those boxes. It's doing really well. I like it. As I say, huge thanks to Destination Triumph. I'll chuck a couple of their links in the description, but really happy that you guys have agreed to work with me. I'm very excited for this summer. I'm very excited for this week. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye. I'm out on the Triumph Street Triple RS that's been lent to me by Destination Triumph. Links in the description, thanks to them. The sun disappeared. It was supposed to be here today and it's gone all cloudy, and I thought, well, let's do a ride on the RS. A bit of a combination of areas. I've started on a country road which is bumpy and muddy and horrible, and I'll end up in the city, and we'll just see what happens along the way. It'll just be a good test of lots of different areas. Also want to test out the indicators on this because this has got automatic cancelling indicators and I have never used a bike with them. And I've just cancelled it myself. Idiot. I suppose technically I should indicate to let them know I'm going around here. Let's indicate for this corner. The light is flashing. The road is flooded. Turn the corner. Mind the potholes. God. And it should turn itself off. Oh, I just did it again! It's so... Did you see that? It should turn itself off of my hand like its own creature when it switched it off. Stop it! Oh, that's right. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, so say this is the corner. We're indicating. We have turned the corner. I'm taking my hand away from the controls, so this cannot happen. Straight line, straight line, straight line, still flashing, straight line, still flashing, and it's gone off. Okay, so it takes a little while. Out of all roads to pick, I'll go and pick these ones, but then I guess that's the point. You know, if this is your one and only bike, it's the middle of winter, you need to commute into work, you live in, I don't know, Surrey, and the roads are all bumpy and muddy and horrible, can the RS do it? And, well, so far so good. Okay, don't touch the indicator. Don't touch the indicator. And it went off. Okay, so they are working. That's interesting. I've never even conceived of using automatic cancelling indicators on a bike before now. I know they've been around on some bikes for donkey's years, and I know there's some third-party, you know, sort of aftermarket kits you can get, and from what I hear about those, they're not too brilliant. But this seems to work. I'd love to know how it knows. Maybe it's headstock sensors of some sort. Maybe it's an accelerometer. It's like, yep, I guess he turned. That must have been what he was talking about. He's been going straight for a minute. The only thing is, it seems like it couldn't be so fast, you know, letting people know what you're doing after the turn. Oh, that's a big one. That's a big old bump. Mud. That auto blipper is very smooth. Don't touch it, don't touch it, don't touch it. Oh, it's gone off. Oh, maybe if you get on it quicker, it's like, oh yeah, they're definitely around that corner. It hasn't rained in days. It was absolutely balmy yesterday. How are these roads still muddy and wet? Big old cars. That was a bit more of an aggressive downshift, and it wasn't jerky. Ugh, that was a pheasant. Now, the question is it going to be flooded? I remember last time I came around this way it was flooded. What is that? There are some collared doves! Watch out, birdies! This bike's got super coursers fitted to it, and I have used super coursers in the past on my my DRZ 400. When I first bought it, it had some super coursers on it, and they were good tyres, I found, but they did need to get warm, and they didn't really like the wet much. So I'm not sure I would be keeping super coursers on this if it was going to be a commuter bike. You might want to find something a little bit more intermediary, but I might be wrong. Some of you might say, nah, I've been using super coursers for a while, using them in the wet, they're absolutely fine. You know, I'm sure they are if you just go easy. Okay, well, I guess it's a good test, isn't it? You know, worst case scenario, this is exactly what I was trying to do. Muddiness. God, I was riding the LXR 380 through here, you know, only a couple of weeks ago when I was doing the comparison video, and that was, you know, I was actually able to romp on it a little bit through the corners. This is so down in the bottom of what it's capable of, and we've got to a 30-mile-an-hour zone and a tractor. Well, what do you know? It's the British roads for you. I trust you, mate. He gave me the wave and he can see. A tractor driver, that he be. Trustworthy and true, I don't know. But I let him take my life in his hands anyway. That doesn't make any sense, shut up. 70 miles an hour, cruising very comfortably. Engine doesn't really feel like it's working much at all. No vibrations really. It is still a firm ride, but this is a nice road, so it's feeling good. But as you can tell, you feel every one of those joints in the road. Oh, I like that rear brake. That was very usable, and it was only at the last moment when I really pressed it to get to a stop, it went click from the the ABS. Okay, so we've gone from the countryside where it's done okay, and now we're in the city where the roads aren't necessarily as well. I was going to say, hang on a minute, shouldn't the country roads be worse than the city road? Well, it's just everywhere is just a nightmare now, really, isn't it? But whatever. Now we're going to try basically what this is like in a more confined, slower speed traffic situation. But I need to find some traffic, and with the current ongoings, it isn't very busy places so much. Now, I have definitely noticed a lot less people around. Now, I'm not too concerned because, you know, I'm moving. I'm on a bike, I'm in leathers, I've got a helmet on, no one's getting anywhere near me. The seating position on this is a little bit confused, as it were, because your feet feel like they're right up like on a sports bike. And the handlebars feel somewhat higher than you would expect them on a sports bike. But maybe not quite as high as you would expect them on a naked, you know, so you're kind of leant over a little bit. It's like medium to sport. It's very much like Triumph made this bike to be the sportiest to naked, so you know, it looks like a naked, but it actually handles much more like a sports bike. Okay, well, from the country to the city of Portsmouth, I have arrived, and now I wish to leave. I knew they were going to do that, which is why I just held back for a second then. I just knew it. Wow, this is a North End in Portsmouth. Normally this is absolutely crammed at any time of the day pretty much. And it's very quiet, it's eerily quiet actually. I think we all know why. Okay, well, fuel statistics, we're currently doing 66.4 miles to the gallon. We've averaged 43, and we've got a range of 80 left in the tank. Now I have to say, 43 miles to the gallon as an average. Now I've been pretty careful today, but I have been, you know, using the revs where I want to. That's better than my 440cc DRZ 400. Well, there we go, we've done town, we've done cities, we've done country road. We've done a bit of traffic, admittedly it's not been that much. Sorry, there's a pandemic currently going on and everyone apparently is at home. Which is good, in a way, because it means you can watch my videos. Well, there we go, we've done some country roads, done some town roads, done some city roads. Okay, admittedly it's not been as busy in the traffic as I would like. I would like to have been proper crammed and had to, you know, filter this thing through some bad traffic, but I don't think we're going to be seeing bad traffic for a little while. Which is nice. It's not a good reason for it, but you know. So I think I'm going to end this one here and say, ducks! Ducks! Many ducks! Chicken, chicken, chicken! I'm going to say thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button. I would properly appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. I've got lots of things coming this year. I'm doing lots of work with Triumph and many other bike brands actually. I'm going to be reviewing lots and lots of bikes, and if you want to help support me in doing that, you know, obviously fuel costs and all of this, and well, I'm a full-time YouTuber now, so this is what has to pay the bills. I'd really appreciate it if you consider joining my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. You get videos 3 days early, you get to be part of the Q&As, you get to message me, you get to be part of that much smaller community away from YouTube and the masses. So thank you very much to the people that do support me. Thanks if you're considering it, and I'll catch you in the next one. Hopefully the sun will be out then. Hopefully. Hi everybody, and welcome to my review of a Triumph Street Triple RS. I've had this bike on loan for 5 days from Destination Triumph, the Solent store near East Meon. The RS is the track-orientated top-of-the-range model out the Street Triple range. You then have the R, which is more like your normal. There's also an R with a lowered seat height, and then there's the S, which has actually got a smaller engine and is compliant for A2. The RS has about 121 brake horsepower. The R just has a handful less. And then, as I say, because of the A2 restrictions, you're going down to 48 brake horsepower for the S itself. The S is just under £8,000. The RS is 10,300. So there's not a huge gap between those two, and you get a lot of kit in this bike. Obviously, the Triumph Street Triple used to be a 675. This is a 765, so it's got a little bit more power. As I say, I have ridden one of the old ones before, and yeah, this definitely feels like it's got a bit more grunt. But first things first, let's actually take a look at the bike, because it's really nice. I have to say, the build quality of this bike is absolutely lovely. It's as good as any I've seen. Everything is finished nicely. Everything is just clean. Every single thing is being, not even these that are trimmed down, is different from just being bog standard. You know, the bottom ones are more bog standard. It's just there's a lot of attention to detail in lots of different places. Even down to like the fasteners that they use just look really nice. Of course, you've got adjustable suspension front and rear because you want to get it tuned for the track. Big Brembo brakes. These are very powerful, nice brakes. Again, Brembo's on the rear, and this is the Euro 5 exhaust, because this is one of the big problems. You know, we want bikes to be faster and louder and do all these things, but what's driving bikes at the moment is keeping them in line with the regulations that allow them to exist, like Euro 5. Personally, I really like the look of it. I probably prefer the front end of the older Street Triple, the smaller lights, you know, the two held underneath with the little screen above. I probably preferred the look of that to this, but the rest of the bike beyond that, I prefer the new bike. So the screen on this is very nice, and it is massively customizable. You basically have a menu button here, you have a joystick here, which is left, down, up, right, and press, and then you have a home button here. Okay, well, I'm going to push the joystick up, and as you can see, it changes information displayed on the screen. So you can have your tachometer there. You also have the tach that comes out the side here, in like a glowing colour aura. It's really very cool. You can switch through all your bits of information there, and then we come across styles. Now I'm going to show you all the different styles. We go across, click. So with this you can have the RPMs as a really big display with a speed underneath. Then you've got timers, and then we're going to styles again. We'll go across one more. Quite similar. I'm just going to change the colour so you can see what happens. You change colour, and now your information and your dials will show in that colour. There is another option, which is style 4, which is completely different, which has got side by side like this. And so this is all controlled with this little stick. It's very intuitive, I've found. So that's the general sort of display settings and how to customize it. Okay, then we've got the modes button. So if we press that, so we've got sport, track, rider, which I think is a custom one, rain, road, back to sport. I've had it on sport. So then I'm going to press menu to get into there. We've got riding modes, and then in here you can adjust what you want. So you can have road or track, ABS. You can play with the map. You can change traction control. I'm not going to do that. I like to use this in sport mode. Then you've got bike setup, and this is where you can change the automatic indicators as to how they work. Traction control options, this is where you can enable it or disable it. I'd say this bike benefits from having it. And then you've got information about your service. Then you can change the information on the trips. Then we'll have a look in display setup, and you see this is where you can make a lot more customizations about, you know, sort of where the gear shift indicator comes in and stuff. Just have a play, you'll find it the way you like it the most. On the display we've obviously got gear position indicator, speed, say the revs come out the side here, and then whatever information you want to have around it. You've got your normal lights left and right, fuel gauges here, temperatures over there. I'll just start the bike up. I might have to cut the audio, but you'll see the flashing.
So it's a nice clear display, lots of information there if you want it. You can change the layout, change the colours, very customisable. It's very nice. Trick bit of kit.
Okay, well, first things first, as my regular viewers know, I am 6'4", so I'm a bit of a big chap. And I fit on this just. It doesn't feel like a huge bike, it doesn't feel absolutely tiny either. I believe this is slightly bigger than the old 675 that I rode. And I think I can notice that, but it's been a long time. If I was to sum this bike up, it looks like a naked and it feels like a sports bike. And the riding position comes into that too. The pegs feel very high up for what a naked normally has. The bars aren't quite as low down as you would expect for a sports bike, but not quite as high as you'd necessarily think for a naked. So you're kind of in between. It's like a very sporty naked. It feels more like a sports bike than a naked. In my opinion, in my experience, nakeds tend to have lighter front end steering as they've adjusted the rake slightly. This has got a very positive dead ahead feel. So as I say, it feels a lot more like a sports bike to ride than a naked. Now, as I say, because this is track orientated, it does have very firm suspension, and the R is apparently a little bit softer and more forgiving on the road, because the bumps are pretty firm. When you're on a nice road, this feels great, it really does. But when you're on a bumpy normal road, it's not so comfortable at times. You know, the jars can be a little bit, well, jarring. Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about the engine. As I say, it is a 765 rather than a 675, 121 brake horsepower. It produces its peak torque at around 11,000 RPM, 11,100 I think it is RPM. Which means it does need to wind open a little bit to get really into its stride, and you do feel that, but it's certainly not lacking low down for, you know, normal riding. The throttle response is lovely and smooth down low. It's very usable in town and city. I haven't had any problems with it there. It's, you know, some bikes, sports bikes particularly, can be great out on the road going fast, but when you try and get them through traffic and stuff, it just becomes a little bit clunky and a little bit jerky. And this is not that. This is very, very comfy. You have a quick shifter and a auto blipper, so you can go up and down the gears without using the clutch, and I found this to be very smooth and nice to use. I will demonstrate. So we'll go up a gear here, you probably didn't even notice. Down a gear, down a gear, down a gear. See how smooth it is? No jerking, other than when I get back on the throttle. Back up. It is great. Obviously, when I get a little bit more open throttle later on, you'll see that being used more positively. The brakes on this are immensely powerful, but actually very nice to use, as in, you know, in lower speed stuff, you don't feel like you're being jabbed off the bike. You can progressively bring them in. As far as speed and power of this bike goes, it's got more than you ever really need on the road, being realistic. So yeah, it's got that covered. I see this bike's place in the market as a bit of a do-everything. I think maybe not so much the commuter everyday rider, because you might go for the R, you know, it's a little softer. But you know, some people don't mind the firmer ride. It gets some pretty respectable miles to the gallon figures for that amount of power, but that of course is the way that bikes are being driven now. Euro 5 is pushing bikes to be more and more environmentally friendly, more economical, more miles to the gallon, and that brings problems when it comes to, you know, giving performance and stuff like that. It's actually why this bike is obviously quite quiet low down, because of this exhaust, but it does get a little louder as you get going. A lot of that seems to be engine sound though, and it is quite a unique and very nice sound. Effortlessly up to 70. Now, as I mentioned in my town and city video, this does actually have automatic cancelling indicators, and I will say they do work, but they're a little slow to react. I would use them as a backup only, you know, use them. I mean, I could hardly stop myself doing it anyway, but I would just use the indicators as normal and just rely on that system as something to cover you if you ever forget to press the cancel indicator button. See here, more ferocity on the downshift, still smooth. Because it's got this sort of power delivery, it feels like, as I say, a leery little get around town bike. It's little, yes, I say little because it's agile, it's got plenty of grunt, and you can just get yourself through and around stuff, pulling out on roads nice and strongly. Of course, I should mention the clutch. It is a very nice clutch. It's very smooth, it's very light. It's got a nice weight to it. It's not too heavy, not too light. So it feels controllable. But, you know, it's kind of wasted in a way because you've got the quick shifter auto clipper, so you're hardly ever using it apart from pulling away and stopping. Maybe a little bit of feathering every now and then at lower speeds, but otherwise, yeah, you're not using it. I really do like the EFI on this. It just seems happy to sit comfortably at any speed and be perfectly smooth and always have the power available you need to instantly get away. It doesn't seem to have a poor point in the range. Obviously you get very, very little wind protection on this bike. It is a naked after all. Yes, there is some respite from my sort of hips, but my arms, my head, my chest, I can feel all the wind there, but that's to say, it's a naked. If you complain about that on a naked, well, you're just riding the wrong bike, frankly. We're coming back down through the box. Nice and smooth. Don't need anything lower than second. Weight transfer is lovely. And speed is plentiful. As I say, the handling of this feels very much like a sports bike. It is really nice. It is precise and it is direct. And I'll have to say this is one of the nicest handling bikes I have ever ridden. And I'm not saying that for any other reason than I think it. I'm trying to think of bikes that I've ridden that are sort of competitors to this, and the one that sort of comes to mind at the moment as being similar but different is the GSXS 750. I did very much enjoy riding that bike, and I did like the handling on it. I do prefer the way that this bike feels, but there is a price difference there. You know, it's a couple of £1,000s, and I actually would say that I think that the Suzuki is perfectly acceptable for the price that it is. And I also think that the extra money that Triumph are charging for this over that is you can see it, you can feel it, and you can see it. You can see it in the build, you can feel it in the bike. I think they are both priced fairly and at the right place they should be for what they are. It's obviously not the cheapest of bikes in the grand scheme of things, but the build quality is definitely there. It looks as good as anything I've seen from BMW pretty much. I just wish that I'd had this on some more warm sunny days, or I could actually get these super courses properly warmed up and had a bit more fun with it. Only mainly because I don't like pushing it. I like to be well within my safety margins, as it were, because if anything goes wrong, I'm paying for the bike. Once things have calmed down a little bit in the future, I would like to try and get out on the R, or actually even the S. That would be interesting, because that's obviously an A2 market competitor. I'd like to try that. There are lots of other bikes I want to try. A lot of people have been saying, like, oh, now you're doing some videos with Destination Triumph, you can be doing this bike. I'm going to do every bike I can. Obviously at the moment, with the current, you know, medical issues going on nationally, not me, it's going to delay things a little bit, but we'll work around it. Right, my time on this bike is soon to be at an end. I'm approaching Destination Triumph now. I'm trying to think if I've forgotten anything. I hope I haven't. Overall, this is an absolutely fantastic machine. Very high quality feeling, very powerful, very just focused, and it's, you know, it's refined. Well, our time Street Triple RS is at an end. It has been an absolute pleasure. I will quite miss this bike. I've very much enjoyed riding it. It's it's just very pleasant to use. I think that's what I'd say. It's just a nice bike to have, to use, to ride. Bringing it in, bringing it in, bringing it in. Burp. So this is the Solent store. This is the people that I'm going to be doing bike reviews with. The next bike, yes, of course, the Tiger 900 is an option. The Rocket 3 is another option. I can't decide which one I want to ride more. It would probably make sense to go for a Tiger, because obviously I've just recently done some other ones that are similar. But there's lots to choose from. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video and the past couple of videos I made on this bike, please remember to smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new here. I'm on my way to 100k. I'd really appreciate it. And if you would like to help me continue to make these videos possible, then join my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. As little as $1 a month, you literally can go there, you get everything for $1, or you can put it up to more. I have some people that, you know, are far more generous than $1, and it really is the way that I'm able to do this year. If you're not aware, I've basically given up my metalworks business and I'm now doing this full time. So obviously launching that just as a pandemic starts, it's only a problem that I could create. Anyway, catch you next time.